we're going to talk to Dr. Kim Bloomer of Aspen Bloom Pet Care. And I'm always excited to talk to you, Dr. Kim.
Well, that's mutual.
And we're going to make sure to leave some time to talk about your book, Animals Taught Me That. So I don't want to use up all of our time talking about the work that you do, because I want to make sure that you talk about all these great animals that are in your memoir. I think it's great. I love it. Love it.
Oh, I'm so glad you love it. That was a really difficult book for me to write, by the way. So.
Well, I guess as a memoir, well, we'll go ahead and talk about it right now. As a memoir, Animals Taught Me That. It was a little bit about you and a little bit about animals and a lot about both.
It was. It was really, Barbara, it was all about the different life lessons that God has taught me through animals. And what it bottom line came down to, Barbara, was that as I looked at it, God was saying you cannot do an expose on anything unless you expose yourself first.
Well, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, and I honestly think that what he was saying was point the finger. And I feel now, after writing it, that and I wrote a blog post about that. I said that I had written, and I'll just give you a little bit of what I wrote. I said Michael Jackson once saying that I'm looking at the man in the mirror and I'm asking him to change his ways. And so Animals Taught Me That began its journey as a result of me taking that to heart and encouraging others to read it so that we could, I feel that if we would begin to point the finger at the only place it needs pointing is at the person looking back at you in the mirror, then all of this infighting and factions and so forth could either be diluted or stopped. So, I mean, really, how can we point the finger or work on pulling a speck out of anyone else's eye unless we're working on the plank in our own?
That's very true. And we have to stay true to our individual purposes and focus in on why we were created and the talent that we were given to use in the earth. And your particular gift mix, as the best way I can call it, because it's more than natural health, but you have such a passion for animals, and we both love dogs in particular. But
I do. I love horses too, but I think that's why I went for the middle road and chose giant breed dogs.
Yeah, very big dogs. Yeah.
Since I could never have horses, it's just never been in the game plan, in God's plan for my life. Or maybe because of choices I've made that I wasn't able to have horses in my life. I always had large breed dogs.
Large dogs, yeah.
But
you love people. Animals. Yeah, you love people. You love teaching.
I didn't always, Barbara. Okay. I mean, as a child, I was everyone calls me the chatty Cathy now. And as a child, I would chat to my animals, but never to people. I didn't want to talk. I was very shy, very introverted, and animals were the only thing I felt I could be telling myself around because they didn't judge me.
Okay.
And so they just love you for who you are and where you're at. And to me, that was an example of my Savior. I didn't know him then, but at some point I came through a lot of trials and fires, from reading the book. And I don't know, at one point I believe that God put me in teaching positions just so that I could learn to love the people that he loves.
Yeah. And that's very important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You can't, and people who go into animal professions because they love animals and hate people won't get very far.
That's very true.
You're not
now,
going to explain animals.
Explain your vocation as a naturopath.
I'm a veterinary naturopath, and in this country that is not very, there's very few of us at this point, which is why I'm working with my college to help increase the student load and to see that there are a lot more. In other countries such as South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and so forth, V&Ds pretty much are in the same quantity as veterinarians. So what we work on is preventing illness in pets by educating pet owners. And I always look at it this way, Barbara, I empower them with the knowledge to be informed to make their own decisions for their animals proactively rather than reactively.
So if I'm a young person and I have a dog or a cat or a fish or a gerbil or a ferret or
whatever, right?
Whatever.
And I focus on dogs, as you know, but I mean,
Right.
there are people who do other animals. So
Right. The way you work in your vocation is you provide information along the way so that you're not running to the vet's office with a sick cat or
I teach pet owners. I actually have a total wellness plan that I could teach someone who got a new puppy, or somebody that has a dog where they've tried the conventional route and things aren't working for them, and they want to. That has inspired them to seek out an alternative route. So what I do is I educate them on the foundation of health, which is nutrition, and then guide them where, basically I'm there to hold your hand, encourage you, and guide you. Otherwise, they're going to be spending a lot of time wading through a lot of misinformation, or the way a friend of mine, Dr. Patricia Jordan, says, she calls it disinformation.
Okay.
So, and there is a lot of information out there, and it confuses people. So I help them eliminate that problem, and that way they can become informed with the right information, which is basic. And Barbara, one of the things that I've learned is and I tell this to our audience all the time on our radio show now, the further from the truth you go, the more complicated things become. And the closer to the truth you are, the simpler it is. It doesn't mean easy, it just means simple.
My name is Dr. Kim Bloomer, and I am the owner of AspenBloomPetCare.com. I am an animal naturopath consulting on canine wellness and nutrition. So for those of you who are seeking a whole health approach for the care of your dogs, you can visit me on my website and seek out a consultation. If you want to go directly to my consultation page, just go to drkimbloomer.com. I'm sorry, .org. That's drkimbloomer.org. And you can also pick up a copy of my book that is co-authored with holistic veterinarian Dr. Jill Elliott, Whole Health for Happy Dogs, or step-by-step guide to natural care for your dogs. Again, go to AspenBloomPetCare.com. This is Dr. Kim Bloomer.